Sorry about that. Hello, everybody.
No worries. Welcome, welcome. So Lorna was the creator of the beautiful jewelry that we were wearing, the warrior jewelry that you will see also in the video. And the very last day, so the program was like that. The first day we opened with the opening ceremony, just introducing everybody to the land. And it was held by Kamala, which was our elder, that did a very beautiful introduction into what it means to create, what it means to be a human being on this land, in a very beautiful circle. And then we had 2 days of full program, let's say. So each day had one pillar, and every pillar was one of the 4 elements. So day 2 was practically the earth element. So then you have, I was trying to show you that, because it's easier. In 1 second. Sometimes it's easier when you see things also. Yeah. You see it, right? So each day had one pillar. First, we started with the earth element, day 2. And then every day had the 3 parts that we said. So like you were learning from nature, deepening into human experience, and an exchange of the 4 capitals. Then day 3 was the air element, exactly the same 3 parts. Then we had the weekend in between the air and the water, that I think it was a very necessary breathing out between the program because it has started being quite intense by then. And then we went to the water element. That was the whole day again, and last the fire one. And in the end of the day, the very last part of the program was the video shooting that we're gonna see in a bit. And it was practically capturing with video art of what has happened into this activation. So without further ado, I would like to show you the video, and then we will continue with the rest. So the video was created by beautiful Iris Hollow, that couldn't join us today because she has some other work to do. But I truly love her work. And just please let me know if you can hear it. Otherwise, let's enjoy what happened, a little bit of what happened.
Not yet.
You don't hear it?
No.
Interesting. Let me see what's going on.
Yeah, sharing computer sound. Now we can see that you, yeah.
Let me know if now you can hear it.
Once upon a time, the earth made a call.
Do you see like the video? I
No.
can't.
You still
No
don't hear
video.
anything?
No, maybe we hear it, but now we don't see the video anymore.
Yeah, sorry. Today it's not my best day, so bear with me. I'm totally lost. Because I did the audio, but I didn't even do the video. Very good, Aliki. Extremely well. I hope now you have both.
The sound is not working now.
What is going on with the sharing? The sound doesn't work now?
Maybe try your take your headphones out, dear. Maybe it's going somehow crossing into your audio headphones.
Things like when I try to share the sound, it closes the screen for some reason. It's weird. I'm not very sure why this happened, to tell you the truth. Oh, let me just try that.
really try your headphones because it'd be diverting the sound into your headphones. No.
Now, can you see the video now? No. It's so funny. Now you can see the video, but I don't know if you, probably you shouldn't be able to hear it again. Do you hear it?
Once upon a time, the earth made a call.
Sorry, do you hear it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, cool.
A call to shape the landscapes in balance with the elements. A call to explore our nature through our human bodies. A call to reinvent what the future looks like through the eyes of the heart. This call came straight to our souls, opening our minds towards the universal laws of nature. Hearts to find our role in the future. Opening our arms to hold and share our vulnerabilities and our gifts for true abundance. We are the warriors of the four elements, connecting once again the human with its nature, orchestrating coherence inside and out, co-creating a future of balance and beauty. The earth has whispered. Do you hear the calling?
That was a little bit of what happened. Can you hear me back now, or you're still listening to the video? Good. I don't know what's
It was difficult to listen to like the audio, so we couldn't really listen to the meditation of like to the guided your guided voice, but it was a really good first impression already, I think, for everyone. So when the video is really ready, when we can start sharing it, yeah, it would be good to.
I will share the video with you because literally today I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's I hear you like super low, so I think there's something wrong with the sound, but I will share it with you anyway. And I just wanted to give you a first taste. I'm thinking about doing a second screening of that anyway during the week, so then we can share with more people. And that was kind of what happened in Portugal. So like that was kind of what we experienced the ones we were there. And I would like to see if right, it's not necessary if any of the guys, either Moritz or Chiara, know that they're both walking in the nature, but if they feel like sharing something would be beautiful before we go on to the rest, to the questions and everything. So take the lead if you feel like. Moritz, if you're talking, you're muted. Are you?
No, I'm
Oh.
not talking yet, but I was just smiling.
Sorry, I couldn't see you. You were moving, so you feel like doing something, talking.
Don't worry. Yeah. No, I'm actually here in a group of people, so
Okay,
I guess I'll stay quiet for now.
no worries. Easy. Chiara, you still there? Would you like to share? What should we go on? I guess we just go on. That's also working. So yeah, I have to gather myself a bit, first of all. Like super scattered today. But it felt that I just wanted to open up to everybody who's in the field to what happened and what it feels like continuing with it. So this gathering, let's say, it was called an activation because for me personally, at least, and I kind of feel that something similar with Tessa because we had a lot of interaction after and talking about how it felt after the event. It felt like it unlocked a code, like that something in our souls just got activated. There was like a trigger. There was like an action of opening up kind of the next steps of what we're supposed to do or to become, let's say, more to become, I guess. So for myself, like it took me like a month of integration after to really start being able to even share what was going on. And I know that Jason was really curious to learn what was going on. And I was like, yeah, I will tell you as soon as I know what was going on. So it was a little bit of like just waiting to see until it really lands to really feel what's happened and to allow it to talk to us again. And that now slowly has started really talking to me of what we could do with that. What does it mean? What is it supposed to create? But before I go to the next steps, I would love to hear if there are questions about Portugal. If there's something that's coming up that you would like to know more, or something that is unclear, because I'm not trusting my coherence today. So I'm pretty sure I have left parts out. So if you're picking up things that you're missing from what happened, please just unmute your mic and ask me questions.
Yeah, Aliki, I'd like to ask you, please, what happened with the last part, the part that you facilitated? How did you map the resources? How did it happen that you mapped the resources? Yeah, that's what I want to ask.
So it is literally a mapping of resources. If you give me 1 second, I can find a photo of one of them. So everybody, each one of the participants had a piece of paper that in all the 4 corners had one of the 4 capitals, so financial, social, intellectual, and spiritual. It's kind of a map, you have a cross, and then you mark from 0 within the center until 10, how do you feel the health of this capital in your system? So like how healthy, how strong you feel in the financial capital, in the intellectual capital, in the social capital, in the spiritual capital. And then it kind of creates a star normally, like understanding where you're weaker and when you are stronger. And everybody was able to put on this map whatever they wanted related to the capital. So for myself, for example, I put 3 things that were positive about each one and 3 things they want to work about each one. Other people just draw around the capitals because they felt being more artistic in the piece of paper. Some people even added something more that they was missing for them in the mapping. And everybody then had the chance to share in the group about their strongest and weakest capital. I don't know if that answers your question. I can try to take resets. Try to find one of them and show it to you. Let's see. Yes, there's one. So we try to share mine, but I don't know if the others want to share theirs. Are you able to see it? So that was my map, for example, and you see with my amazing letters, here is written financial on the top left corner, intellectual, social, and spiritual. And it's from 0 in the center to 10 in the edges of the paper. And I have, for example, a 4 in financial, I have a 5, 7 in intellectual, a 5, 6, 8, 9 in social, and an 8 in spiritual. And that was how I feel about them, right? There's many ways that you can map them, but I feel that this is one of the easiest and more understandable. And it creates a deeper understanding of why you feel that you're strong or weak in this specific capital. And it was very easy for the participants to explain after, and also to offer help in their strongest capital and ask for help in their weakest capital. I have to admit that the asking for help was a little bit more difficult for most people, but that's kind of common. But I feel that there were very interesting connections that start happening out of that, because we learned actually things about each other we didn't really know that we know or that we can do. It was practically, for me, it's the most interesting part when you're working mostly in a team, because many times you don't know what was the past lives of the past life of this person. So like most probably, you don't know about myself that I have worked in large scale construction for like 5 years. So it's like, it's something that you wouldn't imagine seeing me talking about spirituality, but there is something that at some point, if somebody needs it, I can just withdraw it from my toolbox and offer it as a gift, as a strength. Jason, does that make it more clear?
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you.
You're welcome. The intention is actually to continue with this mapping and be able to create slowly, as more members are adding up, to be able to create a larger pool of resources. So then we are having a more varied interaction. So there are more resources in the whole field. And for me, it's very, very important to actually see that together we have everything. Like, it's a separation that creates a scarcity. Like, together we have a bunch of resources, but separately we have only what we have. So I feel that for me, like, this mapping and the possibility to exchange them, it's us tapping in a different way of creating abundance without being based in support from the outside, meaning funding, knowledge, contacts, etc. So this is practically the whole goal and direction of this specific activation, specific training, to be able to get there. But in order to be able to get there, you have to create the trust that if I open up my resources, then they will be correctly used, and also the security that I will also receive when I need it, and it's not going to be only giving, because then you automatically try to secure. So, and I mean, this is our themes that everybody's working on, right? Like, it's not something, it's like trust, that I think it's what we're about to unlock, like globally in general. Hi, Veronica, nice to see you. So it's not like a theme that is only for this activation, obviously, but everybody's doing their small part, right? And if you have ideas about how to translate this tool into a digital tool, so it's easier to be created and also document it, please let me know, because that's kind of like one of the next steps that I would be interested to explore. So if anybody else has questions, I'm very open to that. Veronica, let me know if you have questions.
Sorry, I'm late. I couldn't make it on time.
No worries, I'm glad you're here. You get the second part.
Yes, I see you are recording, so I might be able to watch it later.
Yeah, I remember it 10 minutes later, but I am.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for being there.
Something that comes up for me when you talk about this idea of like kind of bringing the resources together and the tools, like maybe setting up something like a platform or like an online community where people can set up their own profile, and then there's a kind of questionnaire about like really related to your gifts, to like your strengths, to the kind of service that you could offer, like have a profile of each and every community participant to get a really good idea about like, okay, if I contact this person, I do know already like what he or she is into, or what he or she has to offer, or what he or she feels like serving, how he or she feels like serving. So yeah, profiles comes up for me. Like,
I was wondering actually, and I would really like to open this question like to each and every one of you. Like all of you, you are working in projects that can be categorized as spiritual entrepreneurships, like a spiritual project, because most of you are guided by spirit to create what you're creating. And I was really wondering, in this path, like in this everyday, the daily life of a spiritual entrepreneur, what are the most the difficulties or the challenges that you have found? Is there something you're like, oh my God, I would really love to have this kind of help, this kind of support? Because I feel that we need to really start from there. Hey, Electra, good to see you and hear you. We don't see you. I'm pretty sure this is the baby of Electra. Or she's tapping into her inner child. One of the two.
I could feel like I can answer that question a little bit.
Please, I would love to hear.
I find that from the activation building like entities, organizations, groups, there's this tension between the process and the emergence of the process and the clear goal orientation, and that's always, you know, at play. I find that the more an organization gets congealed or structured, the more the goal orientation starts to you know, it's how do you actually allow for consistent emergence and space for newness when you have, you know, if you have investors or you're working with a CFO, or, you know, there's a different energies that come in that bring in dimensions that are counter to the sort of just pure flow. And so I haven't, it's this balance. I was having a long conversation about it 2 days ago of, you know, if we're living it and we're spiritually guided, sometimes it's harder for other people to connect with us because they don't always know what to expect. It's not always consistent. So, yeah. And people want that. They want that assurance, you know, in some fundamental level of like, you know, where to put you. Who are you? I always get the criticism. Actually, Lee tells me this. He's like, Michelle, who are you? I'm like, we've known each other for years. How are you asking me that still?
Of course I don't know. Why are you asking this thing? Thank you for that, the consistency, right? Like sharing a message that continues resonating. Thank you for that. That's a very good point. I would love to hear from the other ones. Like, what have you experienced in your everyday life? Like, what are the challenges of being in doing your business in, like, according to spirit?
Yeah, and I mean, in a way, it touches a bit on Michelle's side, but it's like it's kind of an order versus chaos thing, and really being able to communicate clearly, like this is what I stand for, and this is who I am, and this is what, like for me as the founder, what we are bringing forward, and to have that be really clear and solid, but invite other people in. And I think for me, where it becomes challenging is being really flexible and giving other people the chance to always bring their own part and stay guided, if that makes sense. And it's a constant battle of that flexibility, as well as steering the ship, if that makes sense. So yeah, and the last part with that is, like, often for me it's about scaling myself through like things that I know and I kind of developed or discovered, but then being like, now we need to put this into other stuff, and it's not the easiest to communicate clearly what is intuitive, and to put that on paper or put that on documents and have sort of this center of truth or knowledge that isn't just done through conversations. Because I find it's really easy for me to have a conversation with someone and then they get it, but then somebody else comes in and trying to do it, and that, as opposed to being like, no, here's this source of truth as a knowledge base that we can always go back to. So putting words to things that I feel and understand, and being able to communicate that with others is kind of a challenge, and probably where Michelle is like, how are you still asking me this? Because she understands it and gets it, but it doesn't mean that I always do. So it's a clear communication and understanding.
Thank you for that insight. How about the rest of you? What are the challenges of being in your spiritual entrepreneurship path, continuing with your projects? Is it like financial? Can it be not knowing? Can it be communication? Can it be grounding? Can it be personal? What is there? Or a little bit of everything?
I'll quickly add to that. Just the financial part usually is what's taken the hit for me, because it's more difficult for people to really understand what they're investing into, or that type of thing, of being like, okay, I get it, it's awesome, but what is it? Like, aside from we like you, we want to invest in you, but that doesn't always work. So that's usually the part that becomes a little bit more challenging. That allows the scaling easier. So
yeah, so communication to be able to create the safety, so like the funding can come in, right? Interesting. How about the rest of you guys? What has been challenging you? Because we really have to start from there, you know, like I can give you tons of next steps, but I don't want to create something that I think it's right. Like I really want to shape it around something that will help us grow further.
What I find challenging is that I feel like the people that I want to work with, they are like really like on the starting, or like they're embarking on their spiritual path. So there's a certain kind of language that you want to speak with them, but you know that this kind of language they will not understand yet. So it's really about translating that continuously into words or into ways, and finding like really tuning into like, okay, where are they on their path, and then changing our language, but then working with different kind of audiences and different kind of people. It's like continuously changing that, and that's something that I feel like it's quite difficult sometimes, or quite challenging, because it feels like shape-shifting. And what Michelle said is like, then, you know, people find it, I feel sometimes this kind of tension or this kind of energy in the air, like, who are you? Because sometimes you're talking this kind of way, and then other moments you're talking this kind of way, and then you spread the message like this, and then you express yourself like that. And I know that this is the medicine, but then it's like, how do you kind of stay strong in that and without feeling and being able to like break through all that conditioning and yeah, stay connected, because sometimes the feeling like, you know, that people can think like, okay, I can't follow you, I can't get you, things are changing so fast. It's like, tell me what you're gonna do, who are you, like, want to grab on it, like, but it's not like that. And then how to kind of communicate it and translate that into a way that can still be somehow comprehensive for them.
Thank you for that, Tess. Hi, Christiana, welcome, welcome. We were just talking about, I'm just asking everybody, what are the challenges of being a spiritual entrepreneur? So like, what challenges do you face in your everyday life trying to make your project, which is not the typical commercial project making money for investors, but it goes a little bit beyond, and sometimes beyond even realms and beyond lifetimes and time zones and all of that. So I'm just opening this question because I really, really want to understand like what's challenging each one of us. So very happy to hear you if you feel like sharing, or everybody else who wants. Before doing that, I personally feel that if it's okay with everybody, we could go for a little bit longer than the hour that we have set. But if anybody feels that they want to really go sharp, but like at 9 o'clock, also feel free to do so. It's like really just for whoever resonates to go a bit further and dig a little bit deeper of what we would really like to create here. But feel free to keep with the schedule also. So yeah, just opening the question, Lorraine.
Yeah, I will have to go at 9, so I'm just going to share right now. Thank you for your question, because I mean, it's very interesting for me. I'm like, I feel very far away in a certain way, and I'm going to just to share why. When I'm listening to the challenge, I will say for me, the biggest challenge is to be patient, because with my own experience, I'm not a good entrepreneur, but not because I'm not a good entrepreneur. It's just because I never it's not me doing it. So when I say patient, it's like I had to do the healing inside of me. I had to do the work inside of me. And in each step I was making, then I was receiving what I need at that time to move forward. And then there is a time where everything is gathered and everything is aligned. And then there's no challenge anymore. Just the challenge was probably to do my inner work in order to get to that state. So I'm sharing that because to the question of challenge, I think what do we need to look inward? What do we need to do, the work that we need to do for ourselves in order to attract what we need to attract, or what has to happen. I'm not sure I'm very clear, but I hope you understand what I'm saying.
We do. I'm just wondering if, like, can you say that nowadays, if you do have this map in front of you with the 4 capitals, you will feel that you're like a 10 in all of the 4 of them?
It was very interesting for me. I love it really, because it showed me. So what does it say to me? It's like how far in a certain way I am in that space of thinking. So this is why I'm sharing that with you, because maybe I'm a good example for people to reach out, like people like me. I don't know, because this, like, for me, I was like, it will be very difficult for me. I mean, if I go in this level, in this macro level, of course I can feel the mapping. But if I connect to my higher self, then I'm like, everything is fine. I have really faith. So everything is fine. And it's not me trying to get somewhere. It's just, or calling for something outside, is how the journey inside me. I don't know. So I would love to try to do the exercise of the mapping, because I think I definitely have to tune into that and to see how I respond. But when you were showing and talking about it, I was like, it's so funny. I don't ask myself this question. That was my first answer. Does it respond to your question?
Yeah, it gives me a different perspective. So thank you very much for that. It's interesting to see how you're saying it. Super important also. It kind of actually brings me to another point, and we can get back to the question again. Would you feel like, from the space that you are right now, and it's beautiful to be in a space that you feel that you have accomplished some steps, right? It's like one of the most beautiful places to be, I think, as a human being. Do you feel that you're in a stage that you would love to share these steps with others, or would you prefer that it's just a personal path and you prefer everybody to take their own path?
I love your question. Well, again, when I was listening to you, you know, it's if we take my life for the past 10 years, I mean, no one know me here except Tessa and Aliki, but if you take my life for the past 10 years, I will say that basically I was sitting down in a chair and doing my inner work and tuning into with the universe and seeing which step I have to make after. And just receiving, downloading, it's just, I open up myself to be able to receive the message. So if you ask me how to talk or to share about that, I will say it's the inner work. It's you have to develop, to tune into your own medicine, listening to the universe. The only way for me, if we want to be a spiritual entrepreneur, is we have to be able to clean our field, to be able to all the time receive the message from the highest, and then we just have to follow what we are here for, what the highest is telling us to do, and that's the next step. And then there's no wonder, there's no what do I need to do, where do I need to go. It's just, I'm here in your presence, in my presence, and I follow what you tell me to do. And this is what I did for the past 10 years. And of course, there's moments where there's doubt, there's moments where there's wonders, but it's just like, yeah, it's not moving. Probably this is why I start with the words patient. It was not moving as fast as I want or would like, but the response was, it's because I'm not ready yet. So this is perfect. I have to do my own work because I'm not ready. When I will be, it will come. This is it.
Very interesting. It's very interesting to hear. I'm pretty sure in the spiritual you will be a 10. I will just be interesting to see in the mapping what you're gonna be in the other ones, because it's for me it's beautiful to see and hear that depending on which one of the 4 elements and the 4 capitals we're identifying, our language and the worldview is like from there. Just today I had a meeting with a friend that he was telling me that for him spirituality is being a human being looking upwards, and I'm like, are you serious? For me, it's the opposite. I'm up there trying to see what these humans are doing so I can copy them to be human enough. And it's like, we're both like on this planet, we're both humans, right? So, but his element is earth and my element is air. And our point of view is like fundamentally different. Our direction, our intention is the same. So I feel that that's exactly where we can help each other. I will just take a little bit more minutes to see if anybody else wants to share their personal challenges. Max.
Yeah, thanks all for warming me up a little. The question is really where initially I would say, I cannot say anything. I don't know, in my perception, I'm learning to defragment life and perceptions and opinions and whatever towards more truth. And yeah, but there is nothing so stable. There is just some moments when I did read 30 years ago the first lines of the Course in Miracles, or something like purely spiritual, then it hits me right away. It feels like truth, and it always does. Yeah? But then from my challenge is with over 600 people that I have in my company, that I always try to be dependable or so. So I don't give myself an inch of room, like I hear from some of you now, to get an inspiration from here and to say this today and the other today. I'm all the time busy of finding a language which is a compromise between this and that opinion, and to bridge it towards something more essential, yeah, and something that brings it to a higher level, in my perspective. And yeah, just now the new managers, partly, especially the new ones after 1 to 5 years, tell me, now, but just tell us, how much money should we make, and how much money should we get out of the company to you? And can't believe it. I never talked about this. Everything I'm doing and saying has nothing to do with it, but I'm kind of giving in. Maybe this just makes it more easy. And I don't know what, it doesn't resonate to me, but maybe that's, I should give answers like this. So that's where I'm right now. So that's, yeah. So not much where I can say, okay, this now what I experience in a conflict or in whatever emotion, that I can say anything concrete or dependable about, because it's all about, so many perceptions, 5 people, 7 perceptions at least, or 700. So to have, maybe for me it could be to get some more experience and get grounded in, to get reassurance in, like, whatever we are going through, I'm going through, that this is the voice of here or there or something like that. Yeah. Although we're being with around many spiritual and whatever holistic people, still I haven't seen hardly anybody where I trust that that this voice of purity or so is grounded and can give answers to many things. Very, very rare. So, in my experience, so it's not that it helps if I go out of my company to wherever. It still feels like all different perceptions and levels, and so.
Thank you for bringing the grounding into the picture. I do feel that is one of the missing parts, at least in my personal path with spiritual entrepreneurship. I'd love to hear if anybody else feels like sharing. What are your challenge in one of the 4 capitals, or in general, personal, also societal, anything?
Yeah, I can share. For me, what you just shared, Maximilian, speaks to me because it feels like the biggest challenge for me is to make visible that there is capital other than financial capital. And I think that's the core task, and that's why I feel your model is so helpful, because if there's also a question of language that you brought up before, and also patience. So all these three speak to me. If we can just find ways to honor and take energy to highlight where the capitals are at any given point within the company or within whatever endeavor you're working on, then there will be more how do you say in English? Yeah, basically more awareness, or more of those now moments where we are aware of where within the capitals we are now. And if you bring up conflict, Maximilian, then that's a good friction that is also worth something. Just so for me, the biggest challenge is to allow myself in everyday life to bring people back to observing, also to work on one hand, but also to get on some kind of meta level, each on their own perspective, and then to find the common ground on that other level. And that has much to do with language and with finding ways of hitting the nail from different perspectives, still the same nail. So that's a big challenge. So that's why I feel models are very, very helpful, because if everyone is aware of them, then that's a common ground to meet at. So my challenge most likely is to find times, like almost like ceremonial times, where one would all fall back into this meta level to then later come back to everyday life, and to have intervals that make sense there. And I feel that our connection here, it would be nice to have some kind of regular, like, catching up situation, where one can still find this meta level together, if that makes sense. So I'll stop talking there.
Thank you for sharing, Veronica. Thank you. Yeah, I do hear a lot of language, right? Interesting. I wonder if anybody else wants to share.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it's gathering the people, finding the allies for the spiritual entrepreneurship, but not just doing that in general, because maybe online it's kind of easier to do that. You can gather the people and find the collaborators, not just any people, but the people who are really ready and kind of powered up with the resources and the power to do things now, So online it's possible to find those people, but also it's needed to find them locally. So it's as if, there's the need for both the global network through which we can meet online with collaborators, the spiritual entrepreneurship, and also locally on the land. Like for example, at the moment, I don't know that many people around here who are on this little island at which I'm on at the moment who are into spiritual entrepreneurship. I did hear about a couple, so hopefully I'll meet them soon. But so it's like, it's both. It's having groups, global groups and local groups to collaborate with. Because, I don't want to do things just by myself. I want to collaborate with people who are also of a similar vision. And really with the vision of getting entrepreneurs so deeply connected with the earth, so deeply intermingled or entangled with their wild nature, that they have to act from that place. That seemed to be the vision that I'm coming from at the moment. And finding the collaborators with that. So I suppose that's why I come to groups like this and want to collaborate with this kind of work. Because, to find that, or would you say it, like synergy or mutual empowerment, where something bigger comes when there's, instead not just one person, but 2 people or 3 people or 4 people, something bigger, something larger, something more emergent, something bigger than the sum of its parts is happening. And that's kind of what I want, I guess, at the moment. And it's challenging to find that in the lockdown situation that I'm in at the moment.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it resonated a lot about the global and local at the same time. And that was kind of like where it feels like moving. I mean, the local activation, as it's called. I would like to see if the rest would like to share, or if we feel like moving on. Christiana, would you like to share current challenges, or you don't feel like today?
Of course, I'm trying to make empty Greek villages into regenerative communities. There is a strong component of regeneration and living soil, and there is also a strong component of science and engineering supporting this effort. We have artists that they would like to be engaged. However, I would like very much to have a community around spiritual matters, because I am in a spiritual type of place. My biggest challenge has been the acceptance of the community. Especially here in southern Greece, they feel that I belong to a nut house, and I'm kind of, living in my own world. And I know that on the outside of Greece, it's not like that. People do understand my effort. So that's number one. Number two is finding funding to go a little further, even though we are now operating on the 5th year with no funding at all. So I must be doing something good. We do not have overabundance of resources, but I am making, actually on the 1st and 2nd year, I did have positive numbers when I'm closing my books. So that means that at least I am not dying, I'm surviving. As a startup, I find that tremendously fulfilling. Connecting with others and inviting them to come and see my place has also been a challenge, but I think I have met it successfully. I have met Aliki. I don't even remember how we connected. All I remember is that when we talked, we connected. And that was very nice, because you have this feeling of connecting with somebody. I don't have anything else to say, except that I'm very pleased that I am here. Sorry I was late, but I was in another Zoom. And I would like to see your community growing and being part of it. Of course, you have an open invitation to come to southern Greece and see our struggle.
Thank you for sharing your part. I know you have been doing very interesting work, and you always have new steps that bring also new growth and new challenges, as always. What you have been sharing, actually, Christiana, brings me a little bit of what I was feeling that could be like the next steps that we could consider together. And I feel a lot that we cannot minimize the network into only local communities, because we might not have find the people that we really want to collaborate with. We have to make the pool of spiritual entrepreneurs more open, so make it more online, because otherwise you're really minimizing the possibilities of finding somebody. So I was feeling that the first connection can be the global pool, can be online. And then we do need, though, these points of physical gathering, of coming together, getting to really know each other like one by one. And these gatherings being in places that by us being there, we actually support them. So we're not just going into a random hotel making the action there, but we're going into a place that we want to support. So it's like we are coming together, but where we're going, we're also, by our presence, being able to activate this location. So that's how it has been feeling from my side. And that practically translates into two different steps that I see and I share with you in the email. And the step one is these circles of masterminds, master heart minds, as I call them, because it's not only the mind, for sure. And I have to admit that in this part, I feel that a very interesting add-on could be to connect them to the 4 elements, because I have been trying and testing how it is to actually have groups of 4 people that each one is representing one of the elements. It was exactly the same in our work in Portugal also, like the 4 facilitators / organizers, like me and the 3 facilitators, we were creating a square that we were representing all the 4 elements. And I have been trying that again in another project with having the 4 elements inside the group. And somehow it makes it very clear what each one is bringing, because they're bringing very different energies. So everybody's qualities are respected because they're different. And it also brings a kind of stability, like the 4 together, even in alchemy, create the first base, like the 3 is the first stable structure. In mathematics, the 4 is the first one that creates a base that you can build upon. So that's what I was feeling, to start creating master heart minds of 4 people with an external facilitator, because you do need a voice that is not involved, somebody who is only holding the space, who's only there to just guide, to just facilitate, to just be there to give the tools. And probably myself being able to sneak into these groups and be able to give the extra push and the extra connection there. And this, it feels that, like, what I have been missing myself a lot into the kinds of calls that we're having right now is that most of the times you don't have enough time or space to actually express. And many times people who are less forward, they will end up not talking, not ever talking. And people who are very forward will end up having the speech all the time. And this doesn't allow everybody to grow where they are supposed to be, because some people need more time, they need more space. Some people are very fast. And so I would like to avoid that to happen, because the different qualities of the elements do bring a beautiful value. And some of them have different paces, some of them have different times, some of them have even different voice. It's like lower voice or higher voice. And I also feel that when you are in a group of 4, it's very difficult to hide. When you're in a group of 30, it's very easy to hide. And hiding meaning it's difficult for us, and I see it again and again, I see it again in our call today, it's difficult for us to ask for help. It's difficult for us to say, I'm having a journey in the 11th of April, I'm going to Egypt, and I fucking don't know how to have this money to go there, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'm searching for funding. And that's uncomfortable. That's really uncomfortable. But if we don't do that, the others don't know how to help us, actually. Like, they really don't know. They really don't know what's going on in their own minds. And I feel that creating the strong connections between us and being able to open up and say, I'm having a deep process today. and I might need somebody to do healing to me. Like I'm not good. I'm really not good. You can say that in a group that you have been working with for some time, but you cannot say that in a call of 50 people. It's like, it's too distant. It's too impersonal. It's too, you feel too naked. So what I have been feeling, and I would love to hear how you hear that, was to have these small groups of the 4 people with an external facilitator and myself, so like 6 as the maximum group, that they stay together for 3 months. And you have maybe a call every 2 weeks or something. Maybe, yeah, I think maybe 2 weeks. And you stay there for 3 months, which is also representing 1 season. So every season you are with a specific group. And everybody's just bringing on the table what they have been working on. So like, what is their personal challenges? They don't need to collaborate. Collaboration might happen, but they don't need, it's not creating a new project. It's just, I'm right now in this part of my spiritual path, and that's what I'm missing in my business, for example. And then every 3 months, these groups fall back into the big pool. So these constellations break, and then it's reshuffles with a different constellation. So slowly you get to know everybody who's in the field, but with a close connection instead of having like a huge Zoom call. And the idea of that is that I just really feel deeply the need to start connecting more with people who feel the same way, because when you do find your tribe, you realize that you're not going crazy. You're not the only one. And that there are other people acting just from pure inspiration, spirit out there. And we are not so few by now. Like, we are enough to have a voice. But we have to find each other. And like, for me, that was going to Portugal. And I found people that I could be my weird self and they could totally understand me. And I was like, oh my God, finally. Like, finally, there is somebody out there that doesn't talk numbers only, that they talk soul and human beings. And I know more people like that, like around the world. And I just want to gather us all together into a net that we can support each other and cross share. And for me, the ideal would be to, because automatically, like in these circles, like Christiana, there are people who have locations, who have the physical space also, because there's many people working in physical locations right now. They're buying lands, they're buying retreat resorts. We already have 2 groups buying in Portugal, for example. We have another group buying in Morocco. There's 2 groups buying in Australia, like just for the people that I know, right? Like not even the global pool. And I feel that as soon as all of these locations are happening, we can infuse them with ourselves, just being there and meeting all together, kind of like a reunion of like the old schoolmates in a way. And going into this location and bringing all our connection that has already been established online and bringing all our resources the way we are. So when they kickstart, they really kickstart with some power behind them. They don't start trying to make clients, but they just bring the family in first to open the house, and then the house is open for the rest of the retreats or the scientific experiments or whatever each location is supposed to do. But I only see that happening if we get to the point of, I finally want to meet Michelle in person, like, for God's sake, you know. It's like, I need to meet this, I need to have been close to this person at some point, you know. And I share that with all of you, except from Tessa, that I do know in Chiara, that I do know in person. Everybody else, I don't actually know you in person, which is quite crazy, if you think about it. So I would love to be able to say, in this specific time in the year, we are meeting, let's say, at Christiana's place, and everybody who is in the field of the warriors can just come there. And of course, we can figure it out how it will be with about the payments and all of that, and who can support in all of these things. That's a smaller part of it, I think. But it would be just a call that, okay, we are everywhere, but we do have homes that we can just meet in specific points in time. And I feel that's has been my feeling, that could be the next steps practically. And I will stop talking now and I will open it to you to tell me how you listen, how you're listening that, how you're hearing it.
I'll try to speak. My baby's sleeping just next to me, so maybe at some point he will wake up. But I want to say that I have a roof. I bought a piece of land in Skiathos, Greece last year, and we've been trying to make it livable. And the first thing we built was an office, because on top of the office we'll have some solar panels. And every time my friends were coming to build it, every time that we had to do something important, it was raining or snowing or every time. So today we put the roof on top of the office. I can invite you all. We have a roof. We have a small little room, 3 by 3 meters, and we stay in a van. Right now I'm in a van with my 2 children, so I can invite you all whenever you want to come to Skiathos. Well.
Thank you, Lector, for opening this possibility in Skiathos. It's a beautiful island in Greece. I really love it. Funnily enough, the 3 of you, Jason, Christiana, and Lector, you're all the 3 in Greece. I'm not right now.
Greece pilgrimage, you know, like you go from place to place to place, and yes, we would like to welcome you. And no, you don't have to say which one is best, because each one is unique.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And each one will call different people, like because the land does call us in specific points in time. I'd love to hear more opinions before we close in maybe 5 minutes.
Well, I definitely really like both of those ideas, both the idea of
Aliki,
gathering.
can I speak?
Oh, sorry. Someone else spoke at the same time, did they?
Chiara, we are losing you. Maybe Jason, you can continue and
I continue.
walking, Chiara. Maybe you stop for a second so we can hear you after Jason.
Okay, I'll continue. Yeah, I just really like the idea of gathering in small groups in that way. And also the idea of activating on the land. You know, I'm really seeing some places, many places, in fact, where there's already gathering people there. So already a powerful thing is happening there. And it feels like some kind of activation, like what you're suggesting, with coming on the land and doing the shamanic work on the land, doing the mapping of the capitals, could happen. And you've made it very clear how that could happen. And it feels like certain lands, certain peoples are calling out for that at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason, for that. Chiara, I think we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Hi. I'm sorry, I'm just plugging in my phone. I've had very bad reception throughout the call, so my apologies. I haven't been able to hear everybody, but I'm just conscious that I want to speak as well to contribute. Wow, firstly, I just need to express that, you know, Aliki, I know you in person, and it's been really beautiful to listen to you on this call, because I feel like I'm getting to know you more and we're not on the same land. So that's really cool, firstly. And also, just to say something else, I came on this call tonight not really knowing why I was coming on this call. I was one of the participants in the warrior training. We finally found a name for it. And yeah, it's interesting you're speaking, about spiritual entrepreneurship. And, I'm not even sure I even identify with that language or those words. Am I spiritual? Yes. Am I entrepreneurial? Yes. But have I even linked them together before? Probably not. So I don't know what my contribution here is tonight, but I would like to speak anyway. Yeah, it's been really interesting hearing different people from all around the world and hearing different perspectives, because I feel that's a very healthy environment to put yourself in. And obviously, me in person we met in Portugal, and Tessa, we met in Portugal, and Marit. But my background, I suppose nobody really knows. And my journey, when one of the ladies was speaking earlier, I think she's gone now. My journey with what she was speaking of resonated for me in the last 10 years and my life now as it once was. And the journey that I continue to be on is to connect and follow my inner gut, inner intuition, inner connection. I think we all are speaking the same things, but maybe using different words and languages. And how do I balance that? How do I balance not doubting myself, not doubting my craziness, not doubting my not fitting in on this planet as a human? How do I balance that and yet put food in my belly and a roof over my head and solve problems in the world, which is what I'm passionate about, in fact, from an entrepreneurial point of view, well, more from a social entrepreneurial point of view. And I don't have the answers. I really don't. All I know is that I can only know what doesn't work. I feel the last decade has been about eliminating what doesn't work and clearing, continuing what the other lady spoke of, the inner work, continuing with my inner work, continuing deepening into knowing myself. I feel that's the deepest spiritual connection I can actually have on the planet, is to know myself. And then, of course, coming back to consciousness and what am I here? How can I serve in the time that I'm here? And yeah, so going on the warrior training was, now that we have a name for it, was, I didn't know what to expect. And I've been on many different trainings in many different environments. And, we speak of activation and integration. And for me, it's not always so clean and clear cut. For me, I once went to a 6-day workshop and it took me 2 years to integrate it. For me, I feel what's continually important is to listen to my body and to let my body guide me, to trust my body and to trust in the universe. So you mentioned, going to Egypt next week or whenever it is. What I would say there is, if you are meant to be there, you will get there and the money will come. That's the kind of way I live. That's the decision. That's how I make decisions. I kind of just surrender the process and go into trust. And maybe I just detach from responsibility on some level. I don't know, but yeah, in terms of creating, revenue, I genuinely, I've done that so many times in my past, and that doesn't seem to be my focus, or hasn't been until more recently. And I suppose that's really what I want to bring in, is the activation of the warrior training. It did shift something for me in terms of a physical response in my body. And it has definitely opened up my creative channels in a deeper way. And I think from that, and even tonight's call, and opening to possibilities, is becoming more important to me now than it ever once was, I suppose. And maybe there's an urgency because of the environment and the elements and what's happening out there. So yeah, the warrior training has definitely propelled something in me in regards to time and my desire to create now. My desire has enhanced. But of course, still needing support with that and collaborators and emotional support with that and the doubt. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Yeah, and I can't stay on the call for too much longer either. I've got other people waiting. So I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me. And yeah, I'll stop there now.
Thank you so much for sharing, both for the activation and for what you're feeling in this call. And this call is very long, so I do feel that we have to honor the time and go towards its completion. I kind of feel that it might be interesting for us to try out a mapping. So I will go on and share with all of you the very simple and easy map that we did, and see whoever feels to complete that and see how they resonate with that. Because I kind of feel that we can start from there. And I'm not sure if this will supposed to become like a concurrent call, but it feels that it might be a next one once we have all completed the mapping, to really see where we are in a much more tangible way, and then see who and if somebody feels like having a specific part in the creation of it. So that will be kind of like the next more concrete steps. Thank you so much for being here, actually, and for sharing, and for your time and for your interest. It's really an honor to have people getting interested in what you're doing. It's like, I'm always surprised by it. And I really hope that this can become something that can serve us all. That's really my deepest desire.
Thank you very much for inviting us, and good luck to everyone with their own very unique trip. Thank you and good night.
Ciao.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Adios.
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 Gracias.
Bye-bye.